everybody, welcome to Jetersblessings. Today I've got this welcome fall wreath that is so cute. It's actually weatherproof. I've got it from Craft Outlet. And I'm just going to take 4 of these cable mounts and some Gorilla super glue and attach those to the sign. That way I can go ahead and add some pipe cleaners on there and attach it to the wreath frame. Yes, I am struggling with this one. There's always one that I struggle with every time. But I use this Gorilla super glue and I really like it because you can apply it 2 different ways. You can apply it with a brush or you can apply it with the nozzle. But I like using the brush because it allows me just to put a thin layer on there versus one big dot. And I've had them kind of seep through a little bit on these cable mounts, so I like to just brush it on. Once I have those in place, I take my Gorilla hot glue and I just add a line of the hot glue around each of the cable mounts on all sides just to give it a little bit more support. Now I've got this 14-inch wreath frame from the Dollar Tree, and I'm showing you 2 different cross bars, the inner 2 and the outer 2 rings, and that all makes one section. On the inner two rings, I'm going to apply 1 pipe cleaner, and then on the outer 2 rings, I'll apply 2 pipe cleaners. There's a total of 6 sections, and that means you need a total of 18 pipe cleaners. Now once I have all my pipe cleaners on, I've got this burlap mesh, and I cut it at 25 inches. And then I do the cruffle method where I curl up the sides a couple times, turn it over, curl the other side up a couple of times, and then scrunch it in the middle. If you wonder if this actually sheds, frays, whatever you want to call it, yes it does. It's not really bad like some of the very inexpensive deco mesh, but it's really nice, pliable. To me this is a lot close to the fabric mesh, and if you know, I love using the fabric mesh. This is actually the first time I've used a burlap mesh that I can recall, and I really liked working with it. Now I just used my rotary cutter to cut it. But if you wanted to make sure that you don't see anything or nothing comes loose, you could always use a wood burner and a glass cutting board to cut it. And the heat would just melt the ends together. But that's absolutely up to you. I think if I were to do like a flower wreath, where I use this burlap to make the mesh, then I would. If not, I wouldn't. I mean, to me, just making a wreath is just fine this way. Well, maybe if I didn't do the cruffle method, but I did the cruffle method for that reason, so I didn't have to use the word burning tool. Because I will say, it does get a little stinky. So you want to make sure if you do ever do that, you have a well ventilated area that you're working with. So here I have my 14-inch tails. I have a 1.5 inch and a 2.5 inch wired ribbon. And I just dovetailed the 2.5 inch and then trimmed off the 1.5 inch at a slant. And I really like the blue gingham. Matches well with the sign that we'll be putting on. And I don't think I've really done anything for sunflowers this year yet, so I thought the sunflowers would be nice. I didn't want to do all of the fall wreaths in a pumpkin theme, although I do love me a good pumpkin in the fall. Fall's my favorite time of the year, and I just absolutely love it. So once I've put my ribbon tails in, I just trim off the end of it to about an inch. A quarter to half an inch, and I tuck it away. Now on this one, because I'm not going to put a sign on here, a bow, I actually cut 18 ribbon tails. So I have a set of tails for each of the pipe cleaners. Now I do like a 1.5 inch and 2.5 inch ribbon combo because you could definitely see both of the ribbons very nicely, and then you could still get a peek of that. I say deco mesh. Sorry, this is actually burlap, and I think it turns out nice. So here I am just going around and finishing what is at the top. So there are 12 pipe cleaners around the bottom edge, and here at the top there is 6, which is a total of 18. So once I get these all attached, I take my sign and I go ahead and attach some pipe cleaners. You can use pipe cleaners, floral, wire, any ones you have. And so I'm just adding these on here, making sure I tighten them really well, a couple of 2 or 3 times. And then I'm going to place it right in the middle. So I'll reach in between the burlap mesh and actually find a good place on the wreath form that I can install my sign, making sure I don't pull down too hard so it's not all sunken into the wreath. And the reason I did 4 is because it does give it a nice sturdy attachment. I guess you could have gone with 2. I've done that as well, but this is a really lightweight sign, and so I just went ahead and added the 4 pipe cleaners. Now here I've got these pumpkins from Hobby Lobby in a little bag. I think it comes in 8 of these size pumpkins. And originally I'm going to put the green on because I thought, oh well, I'll just highlight the green that's in the sign, but I decided not to because it was only going to be a couple of pumpkins, and then I was going to add this greenery, so I thought the greenery would be a better fit than the green pumpkin. So I've got this, I forget what kind of leaves these are, but I got this bundle of leaves from Hobby Lobby, and I cut them down, and I'm just using some that are one of the stems, and I'll put one of the stems down in each of the pipe cleaners at the bottom, and then at the top what I'll do is I'll take 2 of the leaf stems and I'll add them together in the 6 pipe cleaners with the pumpkins at the top, and you'll see here in just a minute how I do that. Now here I had two that I couldn't put on one stem, so I just added a zip tie and trimmed off the edge to make it to where there was still two leaves, two stem leaves. Ugh, I don't know what I'm saying. But this is how it all came together. I just really adore that sign. I love gingham and plaid. I love the pumpkins and the greenery. Everything came together very nicely, and I love working with that burlap. You guys have a very blessed week.